You ever notice how people don't see your worth until you stop showing up for them? Until your voice ain't there to calm their storms. Your presence ain't there to lift their spirit. Your loyalty ain't there to catch them when they fall. It's crazy how they get used to you giving, loving, forgiving until one day you just stop. And that silence hits harder than any words you could have ever said. That's when they finally realize what they lost. That's when the regret creeps in. But this time, you ain't walking back into the fire you already survived. You ain't letting people have second chances at breaking you. You're rising, rebuilding, reclaiming everything they thought you would lose without them. Because the truth is, they didn't just lose a person. They lost a blessing, a protector, a soul with a rare kind of heart. And the moment you decide not to return, that's the moment you take your power back, piece by piece, breath by breath, step by step. This is your era now, your rebirth. Your reminder to the world that losing you is the kind of mistake people remember for a lifetime. Key point number one speaks to a truth most people don't fully understand until life forces them to face it. Your absence carries a power your presence sometimes hides. When you are constantly available, constantly giving, constantly showing up, people begin to normalize your greatness. They forget that what you offer isn't something the world hands out freely. They forget that loyalty has weight. That consistency is rare. That genuine love is something people spend their whole lives searching for. When you're always there, your value gets blurred into the background of their daily lives, and they start mistaking your kindness for obligation and your effort for routine. But the moment you step away, the moment you stop pouring into people who never poured back, a shift happens. Suddenly the things they ignored become the very things they crave. The silence that replaces your voice becomes louder than any argument, any apology, any attempt they might make to justify how they treated you. Your absence becomes their awakening, and it forces them to sit with the truth they ran from. They took someone irreplaceable for granted. It's in that distance that people finally see what you brought to their life. They start to notice how heavy their days feel without your encouragement. They start to notice how empty their nights feel without your presence. They start to notice how chaotic their emotions become without your grounding energy. You were the balance. You were the light. You were the calm. But when you were there, they thought they had time. They thought you would always forgive, always come back, always stay no matter how little they appreciated you. Your absence breaks that illusion, and it forces them to understand the kind of loss that can't be undone. Most people don't realize value while it's in their hands. They notice it once it slips through their fingers. This is not because you weren't enough. It's because they never chose to look closely. People who are used to being saved stop learning the importance of the one who saves them. They forget the person who heals them also bleeds. They forget that the person who listens also needs to be heard. They forget that the one who stands by their side also deserves loyalty. But when you step away, they are left facing the emptiness they created. They are forced to feel the weight of your absence, the gravity of your silence, and the depth of the void you leave behind. And that's where regret grows, not in anger, not in pride, in silence. Your absence is powerful because it reminds people of everything they didn't appreciate. The little things you did start to echo in their memory. The moments they overlooked start to replay in their mind. The love they mishandled starts to haunt them in ways they didn't expect. They begin to understand that not everyone has the heart you have, and not everyone loves the way you loved, not everyone shows up the way you did. And by the time they realize it, the door is already closed. Because absence isn't just physical, it's spiritual, emotional, and mental. Once you remove your energy from someone who didn't value it, they feel that loss in every part of their life. This key point isn't about revenge or hoping they suffer. It's about recognizing that your worth becomes undeniable when you stop offering it to people who refuse to see it. It's about understanding that sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is step back. The world teaches you what people truly feel through their reaction to your absence. If they crumble, it's because you were holding them together. If they feel regret, it's because they finally see your value. And if they lose you, it's because they never deserved you in the first place. Walking away is one of the hardest decisions a person can make, not because it shows weakness, but because it requires a level of strength most people never tap into. Society often teaches you that holding on is noble, that enduring pain somehow proves loyalty, that staying in situations that drain you is a sign of endurance. But the truth is the exact opposite. Walking away is the ultimate declaration of self-respect. It is the moment you choose your peace over chaos, your dignity over disappointment, your future over the comfort of familiarity. It takes courage to look at something you once wanted, once nurtured, once believed in, and say, I deserve better than this. That kind of strength doesn't come from the body. It comes from the soul. It comes from finally realizing that love without respect is just attachment. Loyalty without reciprocity is slavery. And staying where your worth is questioned is nothing but self-betrayal. When you walk away, you are not giving up. You are elevating. You are stepping out of cycles that were never meant to grow you. You are breaking the emotional chains that kept you tied to people who benefited from your softness while giving you nothing but excuses, neglect, or empty promises. Walking away means you stop begging for validation and started recognizing your own value. It means you stop shrinking yourself to fit into someone else's comfort zone. It means you stopped prioritizing someone's potential over your own peace. And the moment you make that decision, something powerful happens inside you. You stop chasing what was hurting you, and you start attracting what aligns with you. You stop fighting battles that were never yours to fight, and you begin to rediscover the strength you forgot you had. Most people stay in situations that damage them because fear whispers louder than self-love. Fear tells you that you won't find better. Fear tells you that letting go means losing. Fear tells you that loneliness is worse than being mistreated. But fear is a liar. Walking away is not the end of something. It is the beginning of your transformation. It is the moment you break free from emotional debts you never owed. It is the moment you reclaim your time, your heart, your energy. It is the moment you stop allowing someone to treat you as an option while you treated them like a priority. People may not understand your decision at first. They may even judge it, but that's because they don't feel the weight you've been carrying. They don't feel the exhaustion of giving too much. They don't feel the pain of staying too long. You do. And because you feel it, you have the right, no, the responsibility to leave. When you walk away, you send a message that cannot be misunderstood. You show that your boundaries are real, your standards are non-negotiable, and your heart is not a playground for inconsistency. You teach people that you are not afraid to choose yourself, even when it hurts. And ironically, that is when they finally see your worth, not when you tried to prove it, not when you beg them to treat you right, but when you leave. Absence exposes value in ways presence never could. People only learn the cost of losing you when they no longer have access to you. And by then, your footsteps are already moving towards something greater. Walking away will test you. It will challenge you. It will break you in ways you didn't expect. But it will also free you. It will rebuild you. It will open doors to peace you didn't know you were missing. Strength is not measured by how tightly you hold on. It is measured by how boldly you let go of what no longer honors your growth. Walking away is not weakness. It is one of the strongest, most self-loving choices a person can make, and it marks the moment you step back into your power. They lost access, not you. This truth carries a weight that hits differently once you finally understand it. Too often people think losing someone means both sides suffer equally, but that's rarely the case when the person walking away is the one who brought all the love, loyalty, vision, and stability into the connection. When someone mistreats you, overlooks you, or fails to appreciate what you bring to their life, they assume you'll always be there. They assume you'll tolerate the bare minimum because you've done it before. They assume your loyalty is a lifetime contract instead of a privilege that must be earned. But the moment you step back, the moment you reclaim your energy, the moment you stop pouring into someone who only took without giving, everything shifts. They don't just lose a person, they lose access to a world they didn't realize existed until it was gone. You are the blessing, the rare energy, the one of one spirit that can't be duplicated no matter how hard someone tries. People often think they can replace you with someone easier, someone more convenient, someone who asks for less. But what they eventually learn is that convenience has no depth, cheap attention has no soul, and temporary validation has no real value. They traded diamonds for dust because they were too blind, too lazy, or too self-centered to understand what they had in their hands. That loss belongs to them, not you. You didn't lose anything by choosing yourself. You didn't lose anything by walking away from someone who couldn't meet you at your level. They lost access to the energy that made their world feel safer, brighter, and more meaningful. People don't realize the difference you make until that difference stops showing up. They don't realize how your presence calmed their storms until chaos returns. They don't realize how your emotional strength held them together till they crumble under the weight of their own choices. They don't realize how much you contributed until they face life without your support, your insight, your warmth, your loyalty. Losing you isn't losing a person. They're losing peace, guidance, protection, love, and elevation. They're losing the version of themselves they could only be when they had someone like you beside them. That's why regret hits people years after the damage is done. Not because they missed the relationship, but because they missed the version of themselves they only had access to through you. Once you truly understand your value, you stop waiting for apologies that never come, explanations that don't matter, or efforts that should have existed all along. You begin to see that losing someone who didn't appreciate you is never a loss, it's a release. It's freedom from emotional debt. It's liberation from someone who was never prepared for the kind of love you carry. And when you step into that awareness, your energy changes. You stop needing closure because your growth becomes your closure. You stop looking back because your future holds more than your past ever did. You stop questioning whether they cared because their actions already gave you your answer. The power in this key point lies in shifting the perspective. They didn't break you, they revealed themselves. They didn't reject you. They failed to rise to your level. They didn't replace you. They settled for less because they couldn't handle more. And while they sit with their regret, you rise with your clarity. You realize you were never the one who lost. You were the opportunity they didn't know how to hold. You were the miracle they weren't prepared to maintain. People don't lose you because you aren't enough. They lose you because they couldn't match what you brought. When they lose access to you, they lose access to a kind of love, loyalty, and authenticity that most people spend their whole lives trying to find. Never returning to a place that broke you is one of the purest forms of self-respect because it means you have finally accepted the truth your heart tried to ignore for far too long. It means you are no longer chasing potential, no longer believing promises that were never backed by action, no longer hoping that people will suddenly become who you needed them to be. It means you recognize that healing requires distance, and distance requires discipline. When you walk away from the place, the person, or the situation that hurt you, you are making a deliberate choice to protect your peace, your mind, and your future. You are choosing to break the cycle instead of repeating it. You are choosing to honor the version of yourself that suffered instead of betraying it again. And that decision isn't easy. It's one of the hardest things you will ever do because your heart remembers the good even when your mind remembers the pain. But your growth demands that you stop returning to what damaged you. When someone breaks you, the wound doesn't just disappear because time passes. Healing is not passive, it's intentional. It requires you to create space between you and the source of the hurt. It requires you to detach from the environment that made you question your worth. It requires you to step out of the energy that drained you. And even more importantly, it requires you to resist the temptation to return just because the familiar feels comfortable. Familiarity is dangerous when it's painful because you start convincing yourself that a broken place is better than an unknown future. But nothing about going back brings peace. All it does is reopen wounds that we're trying to close. Healing demands that you don't step back into the fire you fought so hard to escape. People often try to pull you back into spaces they destroyed because they think you're still the same version of yourself that tolerated their behavior. They think a little time, a temporary change, or a few soft words will erase the damage, but you are not the same person anymore. Pain has reshaped you, clarity has matured you, and distance has awakened you. When someone breaks you, they lose the right to access the healed version of you. They lost the privilege of knowing the version of you that grew stronger because of the pain they caused. Going back would be disrespecting your own progress. It would be betraying the strength it took to walk away. Returning would only prove that you haven't learned what your healing has been trying to teach you. To never return is to protect your future from the mistakes of your past. It means understanding that growth can't happen in the same soil that poisoned you. It means learning that forgiveness does not require reconnection, and closure doesn't require conversation. You can forgive someone and still walk away forever. You can heal from someone and still refuse to let them back in. You can outgrow someone without ever explaining why. When you choose not to return, you give yourself the chance to rebuild without sabotage, to grow without interference, to breathe without heaviness. You allow yourself to become someone stronger, wiser, and more aligned with the life you deserve. And the truth that people rarely admit is that returning never gives you what you hoped for. It only gives you a repeat of the pain you already survived. If someone broke you once, it wasn't an accident. It was a reflection of their character. If they let you suffer, it showed their priorities. If they watched you hurt and did nothing, it revealed their heart. Going back won't change who they are. It will only break you again. You owe it to yourself to choose peace over familiarity, healing over history, and self-respect over second chances. Never returning to what broke you is how you finally reclaim your life, your voice, and your power. Your comeback is never loud at first, and that's what makes it so powerful. People expect you to shout your growth, prove your worth, or showcase your transformation. But real elevation doesn't need an announcement. It unfolds quietly in the shadows while you rebuild yourself piece by piece. There's a kind of strength that develops when you stop explaining yourself, stop arguing with people who never listened, stop trying to show your value to those who never cared to see it. Silence becomes your armor, discipline becomes your language, and growth becomes your revenge. When you step away from someone or something that hurt you, the most powerful response is not a speech or display. It's the undeniable shift that happens within you as you focus on becoming someone they no longer have access to. People notice your absence first, but what hits harder is the change in your energy when you return to yourself. The glow they dimmed starts to return. The confidence they weakened begins to rise. The dreams they dismissed start to come alive again. And the person they once took for granted becomes a person they can't stop thinking about. That's the irony of growth. People don't regret losing you because you cried or pleaded or explained. They regret losing you when they see you thriving without them. When they see that the version of you they broke only birthed a stronger version they can never touch again. Your silence speaks louder than any confrontation could because it sends a message they cannot ignore. You survived without them. You healed without them. You became better without their support, their presence, their validation. Growth in silence is powerful because no one can interfere with it. When you keep your healing private, no one can sabotage it. When you keep your goals tucked close, no one can doubt them. When you keep your progress unseen, no one can undermine it. Silence protects you during the delicate stages of transformation. It gives you space to unlearn, to rebuild, to rediscover parts of yourself that pain had buried. And as you grow, the people who hurt you start to feel the void they created. They feel the absence of your warmth, your effort, your presence, your loyalty. They begin to realize that they didn't just lose a person. They lost the version of themselves they were when they had you. People often believe you'll come back. They think your heart is too soft, your loyalty too deep, your forgiveness too automatic. They think breaking you is temporary and access to you is permanent. But when you choose silence and growth, you break that expectation. You show them that healing has boundaries, that your heart has limits, and that your growth does not include them. The moment they realize they can't reach you anymore, can't influence you anymore, can't use you for comfort anymore, regret settles in, not because they suddenly learned how to love you, but because they finally see the value of what they lost. They finally feel the cost of their actions. Your comeback is not about proving them wrong. It's about proving yourself right. It's about honoring the strength it took to walk away. It's about embracing the new mindsets, new standards, and new boundaries that pain taught you. When you grow in silence, you allow your results to speak for you. You don't need to justify your evolution. You simply become the version of yourself you always deserve to be. And by the time they recognize your worth, you'll be too far ahead to turn back. Your comeback will be the quiet reminder that not everyone deserves access to your transformation, and losing you will be the lesson they carry for the rest of their life. Reclaiming your throne is not about ego revenge or proving a point to the people who doubted you. It's about finally stepping into the power you forgot you had. Life has a way of dimming your light when you give it to the wrong people. You start shrinking yourself to keep the peace. You start lowering your standards to avoid conflict. You start loving people so deeply that you forget to love yourself with the same intensity. But key point number 6 is a reminder that choosing yourself is not selfish, it's necessary. Choosing yourself is how you rise. Choosing yourself is how you evolve. Choosing yourself is how you reclaim everything you lost while trying to make others comfortable. Reclaiming your throne is about returning to your rightful place within your own life, where your voice matters, your boundaries matter, your dreams matter, and your soul is no longer secondary to anyone else's needs. There comes a moment, often after heartbreak or disappointment, when you realize that the power you were searching for was always inside you. It wasn't in someone's approval, attention, or validation. It wasn't in being chosen by others. It wasn't in being accepted by people who never respected your worth. The real power comes from recognizing that you are enough on your own. It comes from standing tall after everything tried to break you. It comes from reclaiming your time, your purpose, your energy, and your identity. When you decide to reclaim your throne, you are choosing to no longer play small, no longer settle for less, and no longer allow people who lost you to have influence over your future. You are stepping back into alignment with the person you were meant to become. Reclaiming your throne means understanding your value so deeply that no one can ever convince you to doubt it again. It means creating boundaries that protect your peace, even if those boundaries make others uncomfortable. It means building a life that reflects your worth, not your wounds. When you reclaim your throne, you stop chasing people and start attracting what matches your energy. You stop explaining yourself and start allowing your actions to speak. You stop looking backward for closure and start moving forward with clarity. Your throne is not something anyone can give you. It is something you choose to sit on the moment. You stop apologizing for your strength. The people who lost you will always feel the shift when you reclaim your power. They will see the difference in your behavior, your confidence, your energy, your silence. They will recognize that the version of you they mistreated no longer exists. They will feel the weight of your absence because your presence once brought them comfort, light, and stability they didn't appreciate. But reclaiming your throne is not about making them regret anything. It's about ensuring you never again abandon yourself for the sake of someone who never deserved your loyalty. It's about choosing to rise even when your past tries to pull you back down. It's about refusing to let pain define you. When you reclaim your throne, your perspective changes. You stop asking why things happen and start appreciating the lessons they taught you. You stop waiting for people to change and start becoming the change in your own story. You stop needing closure from others and start giving closure to yourself by refusing to return to anything beneath your worth. Pain becomes wisdom. Mistakes become experience. Loss becomes transformation. And your heart, once broken, becomes the strongest part of you because it learned how to rebuild itself. Reclaiming your power is not a moment, it's a rebirth. It's the slow, steady rise of someone who realized their own value and refused to let anyone take advantage of it again. It's choosing to be the author of your story, the protector of your peace, and the ruler of your own destiny. It's becoming the highest version of yourself while understanding that anyone who lost access to you lost access to something sacred. This is what reclaiming your throne looks like: standing in your truth, honoring your worth, and walking into your future with a strength that can't be shaken by anything or anyone.